Why Trump wants to buy Greenland. The reason might surprise you. When Trump said he wanted to buy Greenland back in 2019, most people thought he was joking or maybe just being Trump. But guess what? This idea wasn't as random as it seemed. In fact, it's got some pretty interesting reasons behind it. Let's break it down. But before we dive in, I've already uploaded a short about how important Greenland is. Links in the description. Let's get started. First off, this isn't the first time the US has tried to buy land from other countries. It's actually kind of their thing. Think about it. The US bought Louisiana from France and doubled its size. They grabbed Alaska from Russia for just $7.2 million. Even the Virgin Islands were bought from Denmark. So when you look at Greenland, it kind of fits the pattern. And you might actually be surprised after knowing how important Greenland is. It's the biggest island in the world. If it became part of the US, it would make America the second largest country on Earth, right after Russia. Underneath all that ice, Greenland has some serious treasure. Oil, gas, uranium, rare earth elements. These are super important for making things like smartphones and military tech. Other countries like China are already trying to get in on Greenland's resources. If the US owned Greenland, they'd be less dependent on other countries. But it's not just about resources. Greenland's location makes it a military goldmine. During the Cold War, the US built a base there called Thule Air Base. From Greenland, the US can track missiles coming from Russia, China, or North Korea before they get anywhere near America. And here's another thing. With global warming melting the Arctic ice, new shipping routes are opening up. These routes could make global trade a lot faster. Greenland is right in the middle of it all. Owning Greenland would mean the US controls those routes too. Speaking of melting ice, this is where things get interesting. As the ice melts, it's exposing even more of Greenland's resources, making them easier to access. Plus, the Arctic is becoming a hotspot for global competition. Russia and China are investing heavily in the area, building military bases and claiming territory. For the US, owning Greenland would be a way to stay ahead in the race for Arctic power. Now, here's the catch. Greenland isn't up for grabs. It's owned by Denmark, and Greenland's people have a lot of say in what happens to their island. When Trump floated the idea, Denmark's leaders were quick to shut it down. They said Greenland wasn't for sale. Recently, you might have seen that Trump Jr. visited Denmark. Not only that, but Denmark's prime minister also made a surprising statement, saying that they want independence from Denmark. He stated, "We do not want to be Danish or American. We want to be Greenlandic." But there's also a negative side to this. Trump recently said he's willing to do anything to get Greenland. Denmark responded by saying, "Greenland is not for sale," and the entire Europe has started criticizing Trump for it. If Trump takes any military action on Greenland, it could seriously hurt the US's image worldwide. Plus, it might give countries like Russia and China the excuse to expand their territories too. For example, this could make China even more aggressive toward Taiwan because it would set a dangerous example. Oh, and one more thing. If you've ever looked at Greenland on a map, it might seem huge. But in reality, it's much smaller than it looks. For comparison, Australia's land area is 7.74 million square kilometers, while Greenland's is only 2.1 million. This confusion happens because flat maps distort the size of land, especially near the poles. This is called the Mercator projection, and that's why Greenland looks so massive. At the end of the day, Greenland represents way more than just a giant piece of ice. It's packed with resources, it's in a strategic location, and it's becoming even more important as the Arctic changes. Trump's idea might have sounded wild, but it's rooted in a bigger picture. Countries are scrambling to get a piece of the Arctic, and Greenland is the ultimate prize. So, what do you think? Was Trump's idea crazy or kind of genius?